In ice hockey, the goaltender, also known colloquially as the goalie, is the player who defends their team's goal net by stopping shots of the puck from entering their team's net, thus preventing the opposing team from scoring. The goalie usually plays in or near the area in front of the net called the goal crease. Goalies tend to stay at or beyond the top of the crease to cut down on the angle of shots. Because of the power of shots, the goaltender wears special equipment designed to protect the body from direct impact. The goalie is one of the most valuable players on the ice, as their performance can greatly change the outcome or score of the game. Only one goalie is allowed to be on the ice for each team at any given time. Goaltenders in ice hockey, roster. Goaltending is a specialized position in ice hockey. At higher levels in the game, no goalies play other positions and no other players play goalie. Although at minor levels and recreational games, goalies do occasionally switch with others players that have been taught goaltending. However, most recreational hockey rules are now forbidding position swapping due to outstanding injuries. A typical ice hockey team may have 2 or 3 goaltenders on its roster. Most teams typically have a starting goaltender who plays the majority of the regular season games and all of the playoffs, with the backup goaltender only stepping in if the starter is pulled or injured. Some teams have used a goalie tandem where 2 goaltenders split the regular season playing duties, though one of them is considered the number 1 goaltender who gets the start in the playoffs, such as the 1982-83 New York Islanders with Billy Smith and Roland Melanson. Melanson was named to the NHL's second All-Star team for his regular season play while Smith won the Conn Smythe Trophy as the playoff MVP, and both players shared the William M. Jennings Trophy for fewest goals allowed. In an unusual case, the 1996-97 Philadelphia Flyers' Ron Hextall and Garth Snow alternated in the playoffs. Snow started 9 of the 10 games during the first 2 rounds, but Hextall took over in Game 2 of Conference Finals and remained the starting goaltender for the remainder of the playoffs, though Snow started for Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Privileges: the goaltender has special privileges and training that other players do not. He wears special goaltending equipment that is different from that worn by other players and is subject to specific regulations. Goalies may use any part of their bodies to block shots. The goalie may legally hold the puck with his hands to cause a stoppage of play. If a player from the other team hits the goaltender without making an attempt to get out of his way, the offending player may be penalized. In some leagues, if a goalie's stick breaks, he can continue playing with a broken stick until the play is stopped, unlike other players who must drop any broken sticks immediately. Additionally, if a goaltender acts in such a way that would cause a normal player to be given a penalty, such as slashing or tripping another player, the goaltender cannot be sent to the penalty box. Instead, one of the goaltender's teammates who was on the ice at the time of the infraction is sent to the penalty box in his or her place. However, the goalie does receive the penalty minutes on the scoresheet. If the goalie receives a game misconduct penalty, he is removed from the ice and a replacement goalie is played. Normally, the goalie plays in or near the goal crease the entire game, unlike the other positions where players are on ice for shifts and make line changes. However, goaltenders are often pulled if they have allowed several goals in a short period of time, whether they were at fault for the surrendered goals or not, and usually a substituted goaltender does not return for the rest of the game. In 1995, Patrick Roy was famously kept in net by the head coach as humiliation despite allowing 9 goals on 26 shots. In addition, if the team is losing near the end of the game or faces a delayed penalty call on control of the puck, they often pull the goaltender for a brief period in order to substitute in a normal skater for the extra attacker, albeit at the risk of an empty net. The rules of the IIHF, NHL and Hockey Canada do not permit goaltenders to be designated as on-ice captains, because of the logistical challenge of having the goaltender relay rules discussions between referees and coaches and then return to the crease. In the NCAA, there is no position-based restriction in the team captain. Out of the 5 positions on the ice rink, goaltenders are frequently candidates for the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP, as they have won this honor in 4 of the last 10 playoffs. Patrick Roy has won a record 3 times, and 4 goaltenders have won the Conn Smythe as part of the losing team in the finals. Saves: when a goaltender blocks or stops a shot from going into his goal net, that action is called a save. Goalies often use a particular style, but in general they make saves any way they can, catching the puck with their glove hand, deflecting the shot with their stick, blocking it with their leg pads or blocker or another part of their body, or collapsing to butterfly position to block any low shot coming, especially in close proximity. After making a save, the goaltender attempts to control the rebound to avoid a goal scored by an opposing player when the goaltender is out of position, or to allow the goalie's own team to get control of the puck. Goalies may catch or hold a puck shot at the net to better control how it re-enters play. If there is immediate pressure from the opposing team, a goalie may choose to hold on to the puck to stop play for a face-off. If a goalie holds onto the puck for too long without any pressure, they may be subject to a 2-minute delay of game penalty. Recently, in the NHL and AHL, goalies have been restricted as to where they can play the puck behind the net. Glossary and techniques: angle play, the method where, by positioning themselves in a direct line between the puck and the net, a goaltender covers more of the net than he would otherwise be able to, and often sculling slowly, directly towards and closing on the opposing shooter to block more of the net. Two of the most notable angle goaltenders in the 1970s were Gillis Gilbert and Bernie Parent. Blocker: the blocker is a rectangular piece of equipment with a glove to hold the stick. The blocker is predominantly worn on the dominant hand of the goaltender. The blocker protects the wrist area and can be used to direct shots away from the net. The blocker should be positioned at one side, and at a height which allows the goaltender's stick to remain flat on the ice while in their ready stance. Trapper: this goalie's catching glove was originally shaped in the same fashion as a baseball glove. It has evolved into a highly specific piece of equipment that is designed specifically for catching the puck. Some of the more significant changes are the use of a string mesh in the pocket of the trapper and the substantial palm and wrist protection. The pocket is the area between the thumb and first finger of the glove and is where most goaltenders try to catch the puck. Catching in the pocket reduces the chance of a rebound falling out of the glove. The trapper must not be more than 18 inches across. The trapper can be held in a variety of positions depending upon the individual goaltender, but the trend among younger goaltenders is to hold the glove with the palm facing towards the shooter, instead of the shake hands position that was popular previously. The cheater portion of the glove is the portion of the glove on the outside area of the thumb and the part that covers the wrist of the goaltender. Butterfly save: on low shots, modern goaltenders usually work in the butterfly position, keeping their knees together and their stick covering their 5-hole, or knee gap. A fairly new, more effective way of stopping low shots is to redirect the puck with a stick. The goalie does this by rotating their hips, their glove and stick square with the puck as they direct it to the corner to the left or right of them, depending on which side the puck is shot to, rather than kicking the puck way out of reach. The glove is kept up and out, ready for a possible deflection, and the goaltender is focused on the incoming shot. Goaltenders should keep both arms out in front of them at all times, covering the gaps between the goaltender's arms and body, and making it easier to direct rebounds with the stick and blocker. Butterfly slide: on breakaways or any other movement, goaltenders should be using this technique to make proper saves. To perform this goaltender move, you must use your leg to push off with your skate and with one knee hovering just above the ice while using your other skate to push your body side to side. Hasek roll: the Hasek roll is a desperation maneuver named after Czech goalkeeper Dominik Hasek. In the stack pad stance, the lower part of the net is protected very well, but the upper third is completely open. In a last-ditch effort to block an incoming high shot, the goalkeeper can roll around his upper back, flailing his pads through the air and stacking them on the other side. If the timing is right, the goalie might get his leg up just in time to make the save. Holes 1 through 5: when a goaltender stands in the net in the ready position, there are 7 open areas that the goalie must cover. They are: glove side, high. This area is defined by the goaltender's arm and catcher on the bottom, mask on the inside, and the post and top of the goal on the outside. Glove side, low. This area is defined by the goaltender's arm and catcher on the top, the ice on the bottom, and the outside post of the goal. During a butterfly-style save, this area is closed off completely and the catcher is typically stacked on top of the leg pad as the leg is extended to cover the post. Stick side, high, this area is defined by the goal post, top of the goal, and the goalie's arm and blocker. The top half of the goaltender's stick is held in this area, but is not commonly used for stopping the puck. Stick side, low, this area is the lower half of the stick side, defined by the blocker and arm, the ice, and the outer post of the goal. During a butterfly save, this area is also covered by the leg pad with a blocker stacked on top to protect against low shots. When a goaltender is standing, the paddle of their stick is used to cover this area and to deflect the puck away from the net. 5-hole. The fifth and final area is between the goalie's leg pads and skates. This area is protected by the blade of the stick at all times, and is closed up by the upper leg pads when the goalie is in the butterfly position. 6 and 7-hole. The 6 and 7 holes are relatively new terms to identify the areas under either armpit of the goalie. Goaltenders who hold their trapper high or blocker further out to the side of their body are said to have 6 and 7 holes. 6-hole. The 6-hole is also used as a slang term used when a save is made, but the puck goes into the net, resulting in a goal. The term is used when the goalie is unsure how the puck made it past him or her. Leg pads, worn on the goaltender's legs to both protect the legs and help stop shots. Current NHL rules have reduced leg pad width to 11 inches. The overall height is restricted based upon an individual proportionally. The leg pads generally come to about 3 inches above the knee. Pads that are too long will affect balance and timing. Pads that are too short will not protect the knees or allow the goaltender to make butterfly saves properly. Leg kick save, a save made with any part of the leg pads. The goaltender should remain relaxed and skate backwards with the incoming shot, thus helping to absorb the blow and reduce the rebound effect. One type of leg pad save is the butterfly save. Lie, the angle created between the handle, paddle, of a goaltender stick and the blade. The higher the lie, the closer the stick resembles the capital letter L. A higher lie number of 15 plus is traditionally for goaltenders who tend to stand up more in their stance. A lower lie number of 11 or 12 is for goaltenders who play with a more butterfly stance down on the ice more often. Mask, the protective headgear worn by goaltenders. The first goaltender to wear a mask in the National Hockey League was Clint Benedict in 1930, who wore a crude form made of leather. In November 1959, Jacques Plante wore a self-made fiberglass mask after taking a New York Rangers shot to the face. Following his lead, goaltenders around the world began to don protective headgear, which is now a requirement. Masks have evolved from the flush style introduced by Plante, to the player's helmet special birdcage style best associated with Vladislav Treshuk and Chris Osgood, to the modern hybrid helmet, made of advanced materials such as carbon fiber or Kevlar, increasing in safety as time went on. Especially at higher levels of hockey, many goaltenders have their masks painted to represent their team's colors, imagery, landmarks in the city they play in, or personal interests, nicknames. Examples of this include Mike Richter's Statue of Liberty mask, Ed Belfour's eagle on his mask, Ryan Miller featuring the words "Madman" on his masks in honor of his late cousin, and motorsports fan Craig Anderson including the Corvette racing logo on the backplate of his masks. Paddle, the thick part of the goaltender stick, not to be confused with the blade. The paddle has a maximum length of 26 inches in the NHL. The blade is the part of the stick that should remain flat on the ice, as compared with the paddle. Paddle down, a type of stance by the goaltender when the play is coming from the corner to the front of the net and the puck carrier is carrying the puck in front of the net looking to score. Here the goaltender puts the stick down on the ground, parallel to the ice, with the leg farthest from the post down and the other up and ready to push. This works well against angled rushes or wraparounds where the skater would normally out-Euro skate the goalie. The skater does have the top part of the net to shoot at, but it is difficult to lift the puck over the goalie from up close. The paddle-down stance is also effective against low passes from behind the net to players looking to score from the slot. Poke check, when the goaltender wants to poke the puck away from an opposing player, he quickly slides his hand up the stick, thrusting forward towards the puck. An improperly played poke check is a risky play. The goaltender may miss, and the puck carrier will be left with an unguarded net. In tight situations, a quick, hard jab could be used. Pro fly: this style of play is derived from the butterfly style of play, although most will argue that this is nothing more than a marketing term. Current leg pad design allows for the full face of the pad to be perpendicular to the ice, maximizing blocking area. This is also called flaring the pad. Almost all modern goaltenders play this style. The stance is very wide and low to maximize the amount of body blocking the net. Many of today's great goaltenders have adopted this technique. This forces the shooter to get the puck off the ice to score. The con of this stance is that it is very hard to move quickly. The more efficient users of this style include Henrik Lundqvist of the New York Rangers, Mike Smith of the Phoenix Coyotes, and Robert Luongo. This is still considered a butterfly motion, as the mechanics of making the save are the same, however it is the design of the leg pad that achieves this rotation more than anything. Screenshot: screenshots are blind shots, in which the goalie cannot find the location of the puck. Goalies should never anticipate or guess when and where the puck will hit. In the screenshot, another player stands between the shooter and the goaltender, obscuring the goaltender's vision of the shot. On a screenshot, the goaltender must do everything possible to try to see the shot. Dropping to the butterfly stance and thrusting their glove out at the sound of a shot is not the best idea in the modern game. Some goalies, such as Ed Belfour or Ron Hextall, went as far as punching players in the head or slashing their legs. Shuffle: a technique for lateral movement when the puck is relatively close to the net. The goaltender slides his legs, one at a time, in the desired direction. If the goaltender is not quick, this technique momentarily leaves the 5-hole open. This is the most common method of movement for a goaltender when in the butterfly position. Skate save: a save made with the goaltender's skate. The goaltender decides which direction the rebound should travel in, and turns his skate in that direction. Then, bending the other leg, he pushes towards the puck with the off leg, as the bent knee drops to the ice. This move is rarely used since the butterfly method has become popular. A skate save's effectiveness is more limited because of the difficulty in directing a puck compared with using a stick, a blocker, or the pad. Skating: a common fallacy is that the goaltender can get by with merely adequate skating, and often young players are placed in net because of their poor skating. In fact, the goaltender must be one of the best technical skaters on the team, and must be able to keep up with the moves of every skater on opposing teams. In particular, goaltenders must be adept at lateral skating and quick pivoting. Goaltenders must also have exceptional leg strength and the capability for very explosive movement. Stack pad slide: when a goaltender is on the angle, often a sudden pass close to the net will leave the net relatively unguarded. Stacking the pads is a desperation move in which the goaltender slides feet first, with legs together, across the crease, attempting to cover as much space as possible. Stance: in a proper stance, the goaltender has the weight on the balls of his feet, the trapper and blocker just above knee height and slightly out in front so they can be seen in the goalie's peripheral vision, and the stick flat on the ice. Stance should also be conformed to the goaltender's style and comfort. Stick: the stick, held by the goaltender in their blocker hand, the blade of the stick should remain flat on the ice. Keep notice of the lie on a new stick. A high lie will force a goaltender to play on their heels, offsetting balance, while a low lie places a goaltender lower to the ice, and may affect high saves. Stick save: a save made with the goaltender's stick. On stick saves, the goaltender should not keep a tight grip on the stick, instead allowing the shot's momentum to push the stick back into the skate's pads, cushioning the blow. Stood on his head: this is a term to describe an outstanding performance by an ice hockey goaltender in a short period of time. Often when a goalie lets out a rebound, the opposition returns the shot quickly, and the goalie has to make a quick save. A goalie often falls on his side and stacks the pads, and appears to nearly stand on their head. The term may have been derived after NHL president Frank Calder, alluding to the 1918 rules change that permitted goalies to leave their feet to make a save, remarked, "As far as I am concerned, they can stand on their head." T-push, a technique used by goaltenders to move in a lateral direction. To perform a C-step, a goaltender directs his outside skate at the desired angle, pushing with the opposite leg, covering the 5-hole. This method of lateral movement is most effective when the puck is far from the net. Use of this move when the puck is in close is not needed. Shuffling is good when the puck is in close. Sculling is a method of moving inward and outward from the goal crease, often used in angle play. Most often used in setting up prior to the puck entering their zone, especially to cut down the angle. This move is accomplished by simply allowing your skates to separate, resulting in forward motion, then pulling your skates back together and stopping. At no time during a scull do your skates leave the ice. This can also be referred to as telescoping or bubbling. Playing styles. Stand-up style. The oldest playing style is the stand-up style. In this style, goaltenders are to stop the puck from a standing position, not going down. The goalies may bend over to stop the puck with their upper body or may kick the puck. Such saves made by kicking are known as kick saves or skate saves. They may also simply use their stick to stop it, known as a stick save. This was the style seen in the early NHL and was most commonly used up until the early 60s. One of the more notable goalies who was last seen using stand-up was Bill Ranford, but most of the goalies from earlier decades such as Jacques Plante were considered pure stand-up goalies. As the name suggests, the stand-up style refers to a style of goaltending in which the goaltender makes the majority of the save standing up. This style is not as popular in the modern era, with the majority of contemporary goaltenders switching to the butterfly style and the hybrid style. The stand-up style is in contrast to the butterfly style, where goaltenders protect the net against incoming shots by dropping to their knees and shifting their legs out. The advantage of the stand-up style is in the continued mobility of the goaltender mid-save. While standing, a stand-up goalie can remain square to the puck and adjust his positioning to ensure that he is covering as much of the net at all times. He is also in a better position to stop pucks that are headed towards the upper part of the net. The main disadvantage of the stand-up style, however, is a susceptibility to shots traveling along the bottom half of the net. A larger percentage of shots occur in the bottom portion of the net, and a goaltender utilizing the butterfly will cover a larger portion of that area. If there is a screen, however, a stand-up goalie is generally in a better position to see the slap shot. Butterfly style. Another style is the butterfly, where goalies go down on both pads with their toes pointing outwards and the tops of their pads meeting in the middle, thus closing up the 5-hole. This results in a wall of padding without any holes, lowering the chances of low-angle shots getting in. These goalies rely on timing and position. Early innovators of this style were goaltending greats Glenn Hall and Tony Esposito, who played during the 50s, 60s and 70s, 80s, respectively. Hall is credited to be among the very first to use this style, and both he and Esposito had tremendous success with it. The most successful goaltender to adopt this style was Patrick Roy, who has 550 career wins in the NHL. This is the most widely used style in the NHL today. Butterfly goalies have developed methods of sliding in the butterfly position in order to move around fast in one-timer situations. As pad size increased, it became a more notable style of goaltending and is still evolving. Hybrid style. This style of goaltending is a blend of stand-up and butterfly style, where the goaltender primarily relies on reaction, save selection, and positioning to make saves. Hybrid goaltenders will usually control rebounds well, deflect low shots with their sticks, will utilize the butterfly, and are generally not as predictable as goaltenders who rely heavily on the butterfly as a save selection. Most players are not pure stand-up or butterfly, but simply tend to prefer stand-up or butterfly over the other. If a player does not have any preferences, he is considered a hybrid goalie. All modern NHL goaltenders generally use some form of this style. Some goalies who do this effectively are Martin Brodeur, Ryan Miller, Czesław Halak, Jimmy Howard, and Tuukka Rask. Empty net situations. Normally, the goalie plays in or near the goal crease the entire game. However, teams may legally pull the goalie by substituting in a normal skater and taking the goaltender off the ice. A team temporarily playing with no goalie is said to be playing with an empty net. This gives the team an extra attacker, but at significant risk. If the opposing team gains control of the puck, they may easily score a goal. However, shooters that attempt to score on an empty net from the opposite side of the red line face getting called for icing the puck if they miss the net. Two common situations where a goalie is generally pulled: 1. The opposing team has a delayed penalty coming against them. The offended team, if in control of the puck, will pull their goaltender for an extra man. This is safe since as soon as a player on the team to be penalized touches the puck, the whistle is called, so they cannot score on the empty net. This effectively increases the one-man disadvantage beyond the standard penalty time. There are, however, situations where a team scores on its own empty goal. 2. A team needs a goal in order to avoid losing. The 6-on-5 play advantage is very risky, as it is fairly certain that if the opposing team gets control of the puck they will be able to score on the empty net. Sometimes if a team is trailing in the last minutes of regulation, and has a power play advantage, they may pull the goaltender for a 6-on-4 or even 6-on-3 advantage. A goal scored in an empty net situation is not recorded as a shot faced or goal against on the personal stats of the goaltender who has left the ice. Backup goaltender. In professional ice hockey, the backup goaltender fills an important team role. Although the backup will spend most games sitting on the bench, the backup must be prepared to play every game. A backup may be forced into duty at any time to relieve the starting goaltender in the event of an injury or poor game performance. The backup will also be called upon to start some games to give the starter the opportunity to rest from game play during the season. NHL Goaltender Awards. The Vezina Trophy is awarded each year by the NHL to the league's most outstanding goaltender as voted on by the general managers of the league's 30 teams, from 1981-82 onwards. The William M. Jennings Trophy is awarded each year by the NHL to the goaltender, from the team that allowed the fewest goals during the regular season, from 1981-82 onwards. The Roger Crozier Saving Grace Award was awarded from 1999 to 2000 to the 2006-07 seasons by the NHL to the goaltender with the best save percentage during the regular season. The Hart Trophy is awarded to the most valuable player in the NHL. The Calder Trophy is awarded to the Rookie of the Year. The Ted Lindsay Award is awarded to the most outstanding player in the regular season as judged by the members of the NHL Players Association. Goalies credited with goals. A goalie scoring a goal in an NHL game is a very rare feat, having occurred only 14 times in the history of the National Hockey League, the first time occurring in 1979 after the league had been in existence for 6 decades. NHL rules forbid goaltenders from participating in play past the center line, so a goal by a goalie is possible only under unusual circumstances. 7 of those 14 goals resulted from the goalie shooting into an empty net. The remaining 7 goals were not actually shot into the net by the goalie. Rather, the goalie was awarded the goal because he was the last player on his team to touch the puck before the opposition scored on themselves. Martin Brodeur is the only NHL goalie to be credited with 3 career goals. Ron Hextall is the only goalkeeper who has scored 2 goals by shooting the puck into an empty net. Damian Rhodes and Jose Copyright Odor are the only goalies in NHL history to score a goal in which they also had a shutout game. Evgeny Nabokov of the San Jose Sharks was the first goaltender to score a power play goal. If a goaltender crosses the center line and shoots the puck from that location or any other location past the center line, the goal does not count. NHL. AHL, a chronological list of goals scored in the AHL by goalies. Darcy Wickaluk, December 5, 1987, Rochester Americans at Utica. Paul Cohen, March 28, 1992, Springfield Indians vs. Rochester. Rob Stauber, October 9, 1995, Rochester Americans at Prince Edward Island. Christian Bronsard, October 30, 1999, Syracuse Crunch at Rochester, Gene Fronner Section Wa Laba Copyright, February 5, 2000, Hartford Wolfpack at Quebec, Chris Mason, October 15, 2001, Milwaukee Admirals at Utah, Antaronia Timur Currency Key, April 11, 2004, Philadelphia Phantoms at Hershey, Seamus Kotick. April 17, 2005, Milwaukee Admirals at San Antonio, Drew McIntyre, February 20, 2008, Manitoba Moose at Chicago, Chris Holt, March 19, 2010, Binghamton Senators vs. Rochester, ECHL, a chronological list of goals scored in the ECHL by goalies, Corwin Sordiff, March 18, 1995, Hampton Roads Admirals vs. Charlotte Checkers, Ole Sundstrom, December 15, 1995, Erie Panthers vs. Wheeling Nailers, Sean Gauthier, December 19, 1995 at Raleigh Icecaps, Nick Vitucci, March 6, 1996, Charlotte Checkers vs. Louisville River Frogs, Mark Bernard, March 22, 2001, Toledo Storm vs. Johnstown Chiefs, Mike Smith, October 26, 2002, Lexington Men War vs. Dayton Bombers, Brian Eklund, December 5, 2003, Pensacola Ice Pilots at Mississippi Sea Wolves, Trevor Koenig, March 2, 2005, Atlantic City Boardwalk Bullies at Wheeling Nailers, Jonathan Quick, October 24, 2007, Reading Royals at Pensacola Ice Pilots, Timo Pumria, December 19, 2009, Bakersfield Condors at Utah Grizzlies, IHL, Ryan Moore, Flint Generals vs. Dayton Gems, KHL, Ilya Proskoryakov, January 25, 2009, Metallurg Magnitogorsk at Ark Bars Kazan, Edgars Mazalskis, January 7, 2010. Dynamo Riga at Khabarovsk, CHL, the first recorded instance of a professional goalie scoring a goal occurred on February 21, 1971, in the CHL. In a game between the Oklahoma City Blazers and the Kansas City Blues, the Oklahoma City Blazers were trailing 2-1 and decided to pull their goaltender. Michel Plas, the goaltender for the Kansas City Blues, then scored on an open net. Subsequently, 4 goalies have scored empty net goals in the CHL. Phil Groeneveld of the Fort Worth Fire scored against the Thunder in Wichita, Kansas, on November 20, 1995. Brian McMullen scored for the Austin Ice Bats on February 17, 2002. And Mike Hall of the Arizona Sundogs scored a goal against Corpus Christi on March 16, 2007. Danny Battlekio is the most recent versus the Tulsa Oilers on December 31, 2011. NCAA, Jim Tortorella was credited with a goal while playing for the University of Maine in 1980. Damian Rhodes was credited with a goal while playing for Michigan Technological University on January 21, 1989. Andy Allen was credited with a goal while playing for the University of Vermont in 1998. Chad Auburn scored an empty net goal for Michigan State University against Ferris State on February 28, 1998. Auburn is the first goalie in NCAA history to shoot the puck himself and score a goal. Mike Mantua scored an empty net goal for Western Michigan University in 2002. Jonathan Quick was credited with a goal for the University of Massachusetts in 2007. Carl Richter was credited with a goal for Harvard University in 2008. Shanley Peters was credited with a goal while playing for the University of Wisconsin, Superior Women's Team, in a game on November 15, 2013 against the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. Mitch Gillum scored an empty net goal in his NCAA debut for Cornell University against Niagara University on November 26, 2013. SM Liiga, Mika Currency RVINEN, December 3, 2008, Cal Power against Lucco Roma, Elitsrien, Visa Tosca, 1999 Euro 2000, Far Currency Rugestod BK, Jarmo Millis, 1999 Euro 2000 and 2000-2001, Luleå NHF, JAR Paragraph RGEN Weekstra Paragraph M, 1999-2000 IF Paragraph RKLA Paragraph N, Carol Krizan 2005 Euro 2006 Modo Hockey, Tugbun, Mike Bales, September 30, 2005, Straubing Tigers at Land's Hut, Italy. Craig Kowalski, December 3, 2009, Hockey. Club Valpolice vs Sportiva Ghiaccio Pontebba, AL Bank Ligane, Brian Greer, January 6, 2004, Frederick Anderson, March 13, 2010, Frederick Shaven Whitehawks at Radova Mighty Bulls, Norway, Chris Henrik Niggen RD, September 30, 2011, Erstbank Hockey Liga, Jorgo Simulainen, December 30, 2010, Thomas Har Paragraph Neckel, December 21, 2012, Australian Ice Hockey League, August 18, 2014, Melbourne Ice goaltender Jaden Pine Murphy was credited with a short-handed empty net goal during a playoff game against the Newcastle North Stars. Junior Hockey, January 7, 1987, Chris Clifford of the Kingston Canadians scored an empty net goal against Toronto, becoming the first OHL goalie to score a goal. While playing for the Medicine Hat Tigers, Chris Osgood scored an empty net goal. As well, Olaf Kulzik scored a goal while with the Tri-City Americans. April 20, 1993, Fred Brathwaite scored a goal while with the Detroit Junior Red Wings. February 21, 1997, the Muskoka Bears. Ryan Ventrelli became the first Metro Junior Hockey League goalie to score 2 goals in a hockey game. The goals came in an 11-6 win against the Durham Huskies, March 30, 2004. Justin Peters, then with the Toronto St. Michael's Majors, scored an empty net goal during the playoffs against the Sudbury Wolves, September 25, 2005. Antoine Lafleur of the PEI Rocket was credited with an empty net power play goal against the Halifax Mooseheads, December 17, 2006. John Faulkner of the Sarnia Blast scored a short-handed, empty net goal, becoming the only junior B goalie to score a short-handed goal. December 6, 2008, in 2 separate games, 2 different QMJHL goalies scored goals. Peter Delmas was credited with a goal against the Quebec Remparts and Maxime Gauguin scored an empty netter against the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles. June 2009, during a Junior B playoff game, Brantford Golden Eagles goaltender Darrell Borden scored an empty netter. April 23, 2012, Mark Vicentin of the Niagara Ice Dogs scored an empty net short-handed goal during the playoffs against the Ottawa 67s. April 8, 2013, George Sørensen of Denmark's national under-18 hockey team scored an empty net short-handed goal against France's national under-18 hockey team. See also, backup goaltender, breakaway center, defenseman, forward, rover, winger, list of NHL players, references. External links: The Goalies Archive, complete goaltending history of every NHL and WHA teams, hockeygoalies.org, comprehensive list of goalies, the Goalie Crease Network, a worldwide goaltending community.